Why is awareness the key? Why is raising up your consciousness the most important thing? Why do some of the greatest spiritual teachers of all time talk about it and say that it's the one thing that you need to do, right? How's it going to transform your life? And how can you actually develop the awareness? How can you raise your awareness? I'm going to talk about all of this in today's video. I'm also going to talk about conditioning and programming. Some people like to call it programming. I like to call it conditioning. And I've got a great analogy for later on in the video, so you should stick around for that, about the sheep and the lion. It's a great story and great for this video, so I'm going to talk about that later. And now let's get into the video. So why is awareness the key? Why is it the most important thing? I'll get right to the point. Up until the point in your life where you raise your awareness, you become more aware, you raise your consciousness, and you become aware of the workings of your mind and the importance of the mind. Up until that point, you're living life on autopilot mode, right? You think it's your life, you think you're doing things the way that you want to, but really you're not. And I'll tell you why. So the way you experience your life, the way we all experience our life, the way we see and understand the world is through our internal beliefs. And each one of us has a totally different collection of internal beliefs. So beliefs are ideas that are stored inside of our inside of our subconscious mind, and they're pretty deep in there. And beliefs are ideas about how the world works. So there's beliefs about us, beliefs about other people, about relationships, about money, about government. And based off of these beliefs that we have is how we experience reality, how we give meaning to things happening outside of us. Because without beliefs, without mind, things are just happening and they have no built-in meaning by themselves. But because of our beliefs, because of the beliefs that we have inside of us, we give meaning to those things. And based on who you are and based on which beliefs you have, the meaning that you will give, the way you understand the situation is totally different. And so this is something I learned a while back, is that each one of us is completely different. Each one of us lives not only a different life, like in terms of circumstances, but the way we understand things to work, like everything, the whole world is totally different. Even if you had a twin, if you had a brother, kind of growing up with the same circumstances, the way you understand the world is going to be completely different from your brother, your friend, your twin. And it's because of this, it's because of your beliefs. And so the way we live our life is based around the beliefs, right? The way we understand how things work, why things are happening, who we are, what we can do, what we cannot do, and how we behave as well is based off of beliefs. And up until the point where you realize this and you dig deep and understand what your beliefs actually are and where they come from, up until that point, you're working with the beliefs that other people gave you. So right now, if you have never looked at your beliefs, if you've never asked yourself why you believe certain things to be true, you're still in that stage. So until you get to that point where you decide to become aware, you decide to level up your consciousness, you decide to question everything you think is true, up until that point, you're working with beliefs that you've gathered from your childhood and from your early life. So the way it worked is when you were a kid, when you were a child, and even when you were a baby, a fetus, you've been like a sponge and you've picked up ideas from other people. And especially if it came from people that you look up to, like your parents, your grandparents, or friends or relatives, you took on their ideas and you said, okay, I'll accept this as the truth. You didn't have the capacity to doubt it, to question it. You've basically took it on as your own and created your reality, experienced your reality through those beliefs. And so they're not even your beliefs, right? It's not your truth. And the thing about these beliefs from other people is that some of them will actually support us, they'll help us. They'll be positive, they'll be in a way that we already want them to, but others are actually not supporting us. They're not helping us be who we want to be, experience the world how we want to live, and they're blocking us. So if you're someone that's experienced some kind of big block in your life and you weren't able to overcome it, the way around that would be through beliefs. And if you're watching this video and you've made this had this experience for yourself, you probably know a lot about beliefs, you know a lot about raising awareness and consciousness. But yeah, that's basically how it works. And so the cool thing about this is when you develop the awareness, when you become conscious of your own beliefs, why you believe the things to be true, which beliefs are supporting you and which ones are not, when you're able to get that deeper level of clarity and understanding, you can see that all of your beliefs are not true. They're a choice. You can decide what you want to believe, and the beliefs you have right now, you have decided to take them on from other people. So they've never been the absolute truth. They've always been a choice. And so up until the point where you decide to change them, you decide to become aware of them, up until that point, you've decided to hold on to them, right? Even though they weren't true, like in an ultimate sense, they weren't true. Things played out for you based off of your beliefs, so you experienced them to be true. They weren't actually true. So long story short, I've been kind of talking for a while now. If you want to live life by design instead of by what was given to you from other people, if you have these big blocks in your life, you can't overcome them. Maybe it's about confidence. It's about how you see yourself. Basically, if you want to live a life of alignment with who you really are, with your higher self, with who you came here to be, you need to become more aware. You need to become more conscious. And the way you do that is, there's different ways, but really it's about meditating. It's about separating from your mind, being able to separate from your mind, being able to take a step back from your thoughts. So I'll give you an example. When you reflect on things, maybe you're someone who thinks a lot. When you reflect on your own actions, that's already a good level. Reflecting, asking yourself, why am I doing the things I do? And then the deeper level is, why am I thinking in this certain way? Why am I reflecting in this certain way about the thing? Right? Why is my brain working this way? Why is my brain thinking this is wrong or right or good or bad? What kind of assumptions am I making? And so meditation is one thing. Another thing is following your intuition. So more and more understanding your intuition, following it, being able to separate from what is intuition. By the way, I'm pointing at my stomach because intuition is right here. So what is intuition? What is coming from the core? What is coming from the heart? And what is coming from the mind? What is coming from the ego, actually? So meditating, understanding yourself better, understanding your intuition, understanding your mind, and asking yourself, what kind of life do I actually want to live? What kind of life would be aligned for me? That will make you realize that you've got all kinds of messed up ideas in there, all kinds of beliefs that are not serving you, and you need to change them, or you want to change them. So as promised, a great analogy here. So this card is called Conditioning. It's from the Osho Tarot. And it's about, as you can see, it's a lion wearing a sheep on its back because he thinks he's a sheep. So everyone around him is a sheep and he's a sheep. And the story goes that all his life he thinks he's a sheep, but then a lion takes him out of the crowd and brings him to a lake or something. And so in the water, in the reflection of the water, he can actually see that he's the lion. And this card is about the conditioning of society. So pretty much everyone, is still living in that first stage. Still thinking that there's an objective truth, still thinking that their beliefs are their own and that what their mind is telling them makes sense and that they don't need to meditate. And so when you become aware, when you become conscious, you realize that you're actually a lion, right? You break out of that. And so in a way, I'm the lion that's telling you that you're lying too, and that you need to look at your own life and your own beliefs, what you believe to be true, that you're not a sheep. I think if you're watching this video, you're not a sheep, but it's a choice to be aware. It's a choice to be conscious. It's a choice to see what's the actual truth, what's the ultimate truth, and what is your truth. And yeah, this is what the channel is about. More videos to come. I hope you like this video. I'll see you in the next one.